Welcome to the Automation Zone. In this tutorial, we'll learn 4 different ways for you to parameterize your strings in Python. The first way is by concatenation. The second way is by the percentage placeholder. The third way is by using the format placeholder. And finally, the last way is something which is newly released in Python, which is your F strings. Why is parameterization required? Now in the above string, if I want to change the name from Tom to Jack, it is very easy just because I have a small string. This becomes very complicated with the length of the string. Also, if I wanted to print this line hundreds of times for hundreds of different names, would it not be easy if I could pass a name as a variable rather than it being a static string? So let me print this out first, and you would see Jack is a good programmer. He's 25 years old. He loves to eat apples. In this case, I can parameterize his name, his age, and the fruit which he likes to eat by using our first technique, which is concatenation. Let me show you that code. Now in this code, as you see, I've assigned variables to save his name, his age, and the fruit which he likes to eat. And these variables are then implanted inside of my string. If I'm adding a variable before my string, simply type in a variable, add a plus sign, and then give you a string. The opposite is for if I'm adding a variable after the end of my string, which is after the string ends, add a plus sign and then give a variable. If you're giving a variable in between of your string, make sure you're splitting your string into two parts. And in between you're giving two plus signs and your variable goes in between. Make sure that if these are strings, you are concatenating it with a string as well. If you give numbers or some other format, it might fail depending on your program. So now in this case, I can easily change his age to say 40. I can change the name to Jack, and I can change the fruits to maybe apples. And if I run it, you would see Jack is a good programmer. He's 40 years old and he likes to eat apples. So in this way, I've parameterized my string by using concatenation. The next technique is concatenation by using placeholders using percentage sign. Let me just delete this piece of code here and let me have the same string all over again. 1 minute, let me uncomment this. Now we are going to parameterize our string in the exact same locations, however, by using placeholders. So to use placeholders, just go ahead and type %s in the locations where you want your string to be parameterized. So here I'm passing in %s for my name, for my age, and for the fruit that he likes. After this and after your string, just type in a percentage sign and then your parentheses. Now in this string I have got 3 placeholders, 1, 2 and 3. Therefore in my parentheses I have to pass in 3 arguments. The first one, second one, and then the third one. The first one will be assigned to the first placeholder. Therefore the name, I'm going to give in the name as Jack. The age has 40 and the fruit that he likes has apples. Now if I run this program, you would see the exact same thing is passed to our string, and that modified string is printed below. Now note that %s stands for a string placeholder, therefore I can pass strings to it. A %d stands for numbers or decimal. So if I am passing a string to a number placeholder, that is going to throw you an error. So make sure that you are passing correct parameters to the correct placeholders, else you will meet up with an error. Let me run this now. And as you see, the code works. The other thing to notice, your parameters to your placeholders can either be given to your string directly, or it can also be given to the variable that contains your placeholders. For example, here I'm passing this particular string to the variable old story, and I'm putting the parameters using the percentage sign to my variable which contains the string. That would work just as well. If you see here, the output remains the same. The next technique is placeholders, but this time by using the format method. So let me just delete this piece of code right here and let me uncomment the exact same code as before. The format method is preferred over the percentage method. The technique will remain the same. The places where you want to parameterize, simply pass in these brackets, which is your curly brackets instead. So I'm going to pass in these curly brackets for my name, for the age, and for the fruit that he likes to eat. Now after your string, you can type a dot format method, or I can pass in the exact same method after the variable that contains the string. I'm going to use a variable just for simplicity. Now just as before, the first bracket has got the index 0, index 1 and index 2. Therefore, inside my format method, I have to pass in 3 arguments. So these 3 arguments are going to be the name, the age, and the fruit that he likes. For example, Tom, his age is say 40 and he likes to eat apples. And if I run the program, you can see the output below being printed successfully. The format method has certain advantages over the percentage method. For example, I am able to change the default indexes. For example, here I'm giving the index has 2, the index 1 and the index 0. So in this case, apples here will be apples here, which is 0, 1, 2, index 2 will be assigned to this particular placeholder, and Tom, which is index 0, will be assigned to this placeholder right here. Let me run my code. You will see the output is different. Apple is a good programmer. He's 40 years old. He loves to eat Tom. The other thing is I can give the same placeholder again, or I can repeat the placeholder. For example, let me just change the placeholder to what it was before, which is 0, 1 and 2. And now instead of giving he, I can give the exact same placeholder as your placeholder with the index 0. And he will change back to the placeholder with the index 0. So in this case, Python will only see 3 placeholders, which is one with the index 0, one with the index 1, and one with the index 2. Hence, I do not need here 6 parameters, but just 3 parameters or 3 arguments. Now, if I run this code, you will see Tom is a good programmer, Tom is 40 years old, Tom loves to eat apples. This is going to reduce my programming time, as I need less arguments to perform the exact same code. The last thing is this. I have the ability to give meaningful names over my indexes. For example, this is going to be my name, right? So I'm going to give name. I'm going to replace name for all of my indexes with the value 0. This is going to be my age. So I'm going to type in age. And this is going to be the fruit, right? So fruit. And in my values, I can now define it like this. I can say name is equal to Tom. I can state here that age is equal to 40, and I can give fruit is equal to apples. In this way, I do not need to rely on indexes. I can rely on the names for my placeholders, which will help you avoid making silly mistakes. If I run this code now, you will see that the output will be exactly the same. The other thing to note is I'm not limited to just using strings. I can use numbers as well. So that is not going to cause any problem for you. The last technique, which is currently used by many people, is the F string. In order to explain F string, let me delete this piece of code and open up a new example. Now here I have the exact same string here, and I've got 3 variables. Now F string will allow you to embed Python code directly inside of your string, and this is going to be useful to you in so many ways. In order to do that, just before your string you have to type in an F. By typing in an F right before your string, you are basically stating that your string is an F string. Now in order to embed Python code, simply type in the brackets as before. Now you can type in Python code right here. Now Python code can be anything. For example, it can be a variable. So I'm going to type in the variable here called name. Hence when the code runs, okay, I typed debug by mistake. Yeah. So when the Python code runs, it is not going to print name, but it is going to treat name as a Python code, which is basically a variable which contains Tom. Hence, Tom is printed out right here. I can also, instead of just typing in variables, I can type in numbers, or I can even have expressions. For example, 25 plus 5. Let me run this code. You would see here the age is printed as a sum. It runs the code which is printed inside of your brackets has a Python code, and then the output is converted into a string and displayed below. Let me do the same thing for apples as well. Here I'm going to pass in the variable itself. Now if I run it, you can see Tom is a good programmer. He's 30 years old. He loves to eat apples. This is going to give you the ability to not only put variables inside, but also to play around with the variables, do specific mathematical tasks, and not just your strings and your numbers, but you can also pass in objects, you can pass in functions, you can basically pass in anything that you want inside of a f string, and that will be converted into a string. It'll get concatenated and it will be displayed for you in the output. So this is the basics of your 4 methods in which you can format your string. The first one is concatenation. The second one is by using placeholders, by using a percentage sign. The second is by using the format method, also placeholders. And the last one is by using the f string. That's it for this tutorial on strings. If you have any questions whatsoever, do comment below and I will help you out. If you like the series on Python, do show your support by liking and sharing this video and subscribing to my channel. Thank you all for watching.